What's going on, guys? We're going to be talking about extension-based back pain. So what the hell is that? So if you're standing a lot, if you're walking around a lot, or if you're doing exercises like squats, deadlifts, push-ups, rows, there is a tendency to want to arch the back, right? The back tends to kind of shorten up, arch up, ribs pop up. And what that does is it shortens the muscles in the low back. It weakens or lengthens the muscles in the front of the stomach. It weakens the glutes and it tightens the hip flexors. So it's kind of this like cross situation. This was actually devised by a guy named Dr. Jonda. So he came up with this concept of the cross syndrome. So basically structures diagonal from one another, in this case my hip flexors and my low back, will have the same muscular imbalance. So in this case they're both tight, and across diagonally my abs and my glutes are both weak, lengthened and weak as a result of that postural deviation that you have. So it's a arching, it's a tilting in the pelvis, which results in tightening in the hip flexors, weakening in the abs, weakening in the glutes, and tightening in the back. So why do we do this? Because it's easy, right? A lot of times if you're walking around a lot or if you're standing, you want to revert to a posture that's easy. Your body wants to find the kind of the path of least resistance. So that's what it does. It hangs out on its ligaments. There's not a lot of muscular control involved in the movement. So you just revert back to this arch. And it probably feels okay until it doesn't, right? The muscles get short in the back. That causes that kind of tight, spasmy kind of feel. Muscles in the stomach get weaker. That further makes the back tightness worse. Hip flexors get tight. That makes the tightness in the back get worse. That makes even more problems kind of lower down the chain into your knees and stuff like that. And the glutes get weak, which also causes more problems down the chain. So it really is kind of this like total systemic thing, and that ends up causing a whole host of issues. So how do we work around this? What do we need to do? Number one, when you're standing and walking, you need to pull or tuck your tailbone towards your belly button, or roll your tailbone towards your belly button, and that helps take your pelvis out of that arch position and into more of a neutral position. Next thing you can do is pull the ribs down. So instead of letting the ribs pop up, pull the ribs down. So that's the first thing, is kind of fixing your day-to-day posture and having that constant awareness of what's happening at your spine and your hips. So again, ribs down and tuck your tailbone towards your belly button. Okay? Number one. And then we have a few different options, or we have a kind of a menu of things that certainly help. So the hips are tight, right? So we need to loosen up the hip flexors. The stomach is weak, so we need to strengthen up those abs. The glutes are weak, so we need to strengthen up those glutes. And then probably there's some sort of issue with your breathing as well. So all things that we need to address. So we're going to give you an exercise for each one of those things to do to help get yourself out of that tightness and hopefully get you back to your A game. All right, so loosen up the hips. Our favorite one for this, guys, is the couch mop. So taking the foot, putting it on a bench, on an ottoman, on a couch, doesn't really matter. Taking the knee down to the floor. Front leg is kind of your driving leg. So you're rocking in and out of this position, pushing the butt back towards the heel, but keeping upright. Not arching, keeping the abs tight, but staying upright. And then leaning forward, again staying upright, abs stay tight, pushing the hips forward. And I'm basically rocking in and out of this position for like 2 minutes. So again, I'm upright, squeezing the cheek of the leg that's down, right? So my downside leg that's getting the stretch, squeezing that cheek all the way through the movement. That's going to give you a little bit more in the hip flexor. And I'm going to keep my abs tight too. That's going to help keep the pelvis in the good position. So I'm rocking in and out, feeling that stretch in my hip flexor down into my quad as well for about 2 minutes on each side. Next thing we do is we strengthen up the abs, and specifically with an exercise that helps reverse that motion that's happening when you arch your back too much. When you arch your back too much, again, that pelvis tends to rotate forward. It's called anterior tilt. We want to take yourself out of anterior tilt. So we'll do a reverse crunch. So for this one, throw something between your butt and your heels so you can't kick your feet up. Hands on the temples, or you can brace your hands overhead. And then you're just doing a little bit of a curl, so pushing your back against the floor and lifting your tailbone up off the ground, and then nice and slow relaxing it back down, curling that pelvis up, flattening that back, and then slowly lowering it back down to the floor. You should feel your abs working on every rep. I like to do a couple second hold just to get that good feel, and then relax. You really feel this one in the abs. A lot of times this feels great at the end of the movement because you've reversed that motion of being arched in the back for a complete set. Okay, so anywhere from like 6 to 8 up to like 12 to 15 reps for this one, depending on your skill level and your ability. But these should be high quality reps. Okay, next thing, guys, is a little bit of glute activation. So the glutes are turning off, they're lengthened and weak. Just a standard glute bridge will suffice for this one. So I'm bringing my heels towards my butt, not so close that I can't lift up though. My abs are tight, my toes are pointing forward, and I'm squeezing my butt and lifting my hips as high as I can without losing that tightness in your abs. So I think a lot of times people think they gotta get really, really high, but what do you have to do to get there? Arch the back, right? So make sure the abs are tight and get that butt squeeze, but keep the abs on the whole time. Again, if you need to arch the back to get up, we're kind of defeating the purpose of the drill, right? Abs stay tight. Tight squeeze in the glutes, trying to crush your walnut with your butt cheeks, and then drop it back down nice and slow. Knees stay out, abs stay tight. Try to crush your walnut with your butt cheeks. Okay, so we strengthened the glutes, we loosened up the hips, we strengthened up the abs. Now the last thing is to do a little bit of breathing practice. So if we breathe too much down low into our belly, sometimes it'll refer to a arching in the back. So we want to have nice balanced breathing between the chest and the stomach. And we want that breathing to expand out the sides, out the belly, out the back. All right, so kind of expansion all the way around your trunk. Okay, so this is called the fetal position breathing. This is also a great one because it takes a lot of that load off the back that tends to happen when you arch too much, right? So you're arching a lot. This kind of reverses that motion, gets you into a little bit of a more kind of forward position, more rounding. And if it feels okay, do your thing. So butt to heels, elbows to knees, forehead to forearms. Breathing in through the nose. And then breathing out through the mouth. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. And again, it should be that expansion all the way through your sides, through your back, through your belly. And it should be nice and balanced between the chest and the belly. All right, guys. So that is how you go ahead and help eliminate some of that extension-based back tightness. Work on how you're standing. Check yourself often, right? A little bit of tucking the tailbone up towards the belly button, pulling the ribs down. That keeps the abs on. Should be about 35% tension in the abs at all times. Loosen up the hip flexors with the couch mob. Strengthen up the abs with the reverse crunches. Strengthen up the glutes with the glute bridges. Work on your breathing with the fetal position breathing. All right? Hope you guys enjoy this. Hope this takes some of the tension out of your back and helps you get back to your A game. Talk to you guys.